Chick. There it is.
Hi.
Welcome in.
Welcome to our next episode. What episode is this? 7?
7?
7?
8? 7?
7.
7.
I think this is episode 7.
I don't know.
We once you start getting closer to like 10 and then further on, I don't know how we're going to be able to keep track.
That's up to you.
I know. I'm the one who's posting everything.
Yep, you're going to be the number tracker.
Yeah, I'm going to have to keep track. I have to start writing everything down. Wow. Last week, we had a huge response to last week's episode. And so many of you guys told me thank you for being so honest and vulnerable and for talking about the like really hard things that the church has kind of been quiet about, or even really not just the church, but culture has been quiet about. And I've cried with some of you. I've prayed with some of you. I've just encouraged some of you. I've thanked some of you. It's just been really awesome. And I'll be honest, I was really fearful. I don't even know if I told you this. I had a lot of fear about that last episode. Like the fear that because I am in such a big role in ministry that people are going to be upset that I'm talking about it, or which obviously I push against that because that's the exact opposite of the goal.
Yeah.
But you still have those little things, like especially from just like some of the stuff I've been through in ministry where people don't like how honest I am. They don't like how vulnerable I am. We did have people who were upset that I felt so freely open to talk about sex. And we had people upset about that. And so anyways, there were just a lot of fears that like kind of came up to where I was like, maybe we shouldn't do this episode. Even after we recorded it and I was like about to post it. And when I was editing it that week, I had those fears of like, okay, maybe we shouldn't post this. And then I did. And the response has just been extremely beautiful. Yeah. And so I know that I was supposed to do it. I know that it was right. So anyways, thank you guys so much. And if you're listening to this episode and you didn't listen to last week's episode,
Go back.
Definitely go back and listen. Unless it's a topic that you're just not in a place to be able to listen to right now. And we totally respect that. I did put a trigger warning out there. So if it's still like a really touchy subject for some people, I get that too. And I think there is a time where you will be able to. So just keep us in mind. Save it. Put it on your saved episodes. But I'm really excited about this episode because so Wes and I, like we said last week, we sat down, we planned out like several more episodes. We got all kinds of notes and I had a full notebook. And I've still been telling you guys how I want y'all to ask questions. Like I want us to have some things to answer so you guys could maybe either get to know us or just something fun like that we could do like in the episode. So today, like a couple of hours ago, I put a thing and was like, okay, we're going to just do some fun questions and we'll answer them really quick on the podcast. And I didn't number them, but if I'm correct, we have like 14. And some of them are like, it's going to take a second to answer. This may be like a really just fun episode of answering questions. We're already over halfway to episode 10. So you guys are kind of getting to know us a little bit more, but maybe there's some other things that you would like to know. And so we're going to answer them. I'm going to answer them all tonight. Like, I think it'd be fun to just get them all out there.
Yeah.
But
I have not seen these questions.
Yeah. So
Emily has these questions.
Yeah.
I have not seen them. So
Wes has been like getting ready and preparing for tonight, like setting all the lights up. And I was like writing all the questions out people were sending. So I feel like I have the upper hand because I've seen them.
Yeah. I have no idea what's coming. I don't know. Like I don't have a pre-recorded answer.
Yeah.
So this could be really good or really bad.
No,
so we will
it's
find out.
It's going to be really good. It's going to be good. These are like fun. Some of these are fun. Some of these are just like get to know us questions. And some of them are like people want, they want advice. They want like some wisdom. They just want like, okay, help like in these areas. So we're going to get like a feel for all of these things.
On those help questions, I will do my best to answer.
Yeah.
And if I don't have an answer, I will just say, I have no idea.
Yeah. So some of these, I feel like some of these could intertwine and I could do this really special, like will flow from one question to the next where they all mingle. And honestly, I'm not going to. I'm just going to I wrote them down and I'm just going to go down the line and we're just going to answer questions. It's not going to be well scripted.
Nope.
You're just getting the raw us. We're just going to be okay, and number 2 is maybe not. It may be easier than that. And it may flow smoothly. But okay. So the first question is, do you think that it is important to be in small groups together, as a married couple, or do you think you should be in separate small groups, like your own? And there's there's 2 parts to this question. So then there's that. And then there's basically the second part of the question is, so do you guys prioritize girl time and guy time away from your marriage?
It depends on the way your relationship and your life is set up, I would say.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of time together, then I don't think having a small group or a hangout with a bunch of people is necessary. You can do that, but I don't think it's necessary. I think if you are hanging out a lot, maybe you don't have kids or you're able to hang out, I think you should more prioritize, having those friendships away from each other maybe, or at least getting out. It doesn't have to be a small group, whatever it is, just hangouts, whatever. Yeah. Maybe it's just a hobby. It doesn't have to be just friends. Having a hobby that you can go do by yourself. I love to go play disc golf when I can. So being out there, whether it's with friends or by myself, that is just time that I can relax. It's time that I can go have fun. Sometimes then when I'm by myself, I can just put my headphones in, listen to a podcast.
But you just taking the time to spend with guys and do get some guy time.
Yeah.
I do think it's important. I have girl time. I'll go out to eat with a group of girls every now and then. But I also teach my dance fitness class is pretty much an all girls class. And I spend a lot of time with those girls. And so I do think that it is important. I think honestly, if I were to answer this honestly, you're kind of just getting this is what we do. But if I were to answer this honestly of what I think is important, I think it is important to have both. I think it is important to have things that you do together as a couple with friends.
Yeah.
I think it is important for you to go to things, to small groups, to dinners, to hang out as a couple and to build relationships as a couple. And then I also think it is important to do things separately.
Correct.
It is not good for you to only have friends that your spouse is right there with too.
Yeah.
However, I also think it's important that whatever friends you are hanging out with outside of your spouse need to be supportive of your spouse.
Yes.
You don't go and hang out. I'm not going to go hang out with a bunch of girls that either A, don't like Wes, B, don't value marriage. I'm also going to make sure that the friendships that I'm investing outside of my marriage are healthy for my marriage.
Correct.
And that it's not just I need girl time because I need my time away from you. It's not about me being away from Wes if I go hang out with girls. It has nothing to do with Wes if I go hang out with girls. If I go hang out with my girlfriends, it's to only grow and develop those girl relationships that we help grow each other.
Correct.
And same with you.
Yep.
So I hope that answers the question. Yeah. We do prioritize guy and girl time. We do think you should do both.
I do think you should do both. I think that it should be what you prioritize out of those both depends on how your life is set up, though.
Yeah.
Because like I said in the beginning, I think if you have a lot more free time and you're able to hang out, or you're able to go on a lot more dates, or whether you like to spend time, a lot of time at home in the afternoons and you're just together all night and you're sitting on the couch and talking and all that stuff, maybe prioritize hanging out with friends a little bit more. It doesn't have to be 50-50 split. Just figuring out what works for you.
Well, and
I don't think there's a right or wrong. Yeah, I don't think there's a right or wrong there.
Right. I think as a spouse, I think it's important for Wes to have good guy relationships that are separate from me. But then all of those guy relationships, I also have a relationship with.
Yeah, or their wives.
Yeah, and their wives. But I mean that in it's not something that this is Wes's separate life away from me. This is just, these are his friends. these are my friends, but we are also all friends. And that's a big deal too.
Agreed.
Okay. Somebody asked,
Number 2.
how do you all, this kind of goes with the first one, I guess, on accident. How do you all live crazy lives and still find time for each other?
We're both crazy. Plain and simple.
So I talked to someone about this week, and Wes and I have talked about this. And if you're a part of our church, or if you know anything about our church, you know that we don't balance things. We don't do things where we balance this and this. Like, we don't balance ministry and family. We don't balance our marriage and our kids. We have rhythms that we live in, because ultimately, if you try to balance things, at some point, one thing is going to go higher than the other.
Yep.
Instead of a rhythm just being like, this is what we do. These are just the ways that we go about life. So yeah, if you see people, I get messages all the time. People are like, your life just looks crazy and you look so busy. And like,
We are, and it is.
yes, but it is also not chaotic. It is just from a place of rest.
Yeah.
I don't feel like our lives are just so hectic and crazy and busy and we have no downtime. Like, we have a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
We rest. We just know there are going to be days that are going to be busier. There are days that are more stressful because if our kids are having a crazy day, or if we've just been going or whatever, but we live in a rhythm of just like everything we do comes from a place of rest.
I think because we live like that and we do have those rhythms, we do sometimes get to a place of like, okay, it's been a while since we've just sat at home on a Saturday.
Yes. Totally agree.
Like the past few weeks have been kind of busy just with, friends' birthdays and
your
shows and just all this stuff. My grandparents coming into town.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can get a little busy and chaotic. But that's when, you recognize it. I mean,
yeah.
I think it was Sunday afternoon. Emily looked at me and she was like, we need a weekend. Like,
we need a day to sit and just watch TV all day.
Yes.
But I mean, he's right. Like, when you have a busy life, number one, the first thing is that I would encourage people to do in that situation, and for us, is we do not have a balance. We have rhythms.
Yep.
And there are things that are going to come up that will add to the ways of your life that you're living, and the things that you prioritize, the things that you just do. And so we do those things, but then there are times where I have to recognize, hey, we need to make sure that we're prioritizing that we just need a day, because we value chill days. We don't do them all the time because like we said, we do have busy lives, but it is something we value. We do it at night before we go to bed. Wes and I have, like, after the girls go to bed, where we'll sit on opposite couches or the same couch, and we literally just watch our favorite TV show, and we're just usually playing a game on our phone. And that's just how we like wind down. And if you know, Wes has said this before, his love language is quantity time. So it's like being in the same room and not having to say anything together.
I love it.
Yeah.
Don't have to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Just sit on the opposite couch, and just sit there. If you get up, I'm gonna be like, where are you going? But just don't get up. Just sit there.
And I think too is in this season that we're in right now, we're thriving. Like, I don't feel like burnt out, like I can't catch a break. I just recognize, like, hey, it's been a minute since we've done this. Yep. And so we are thriving and we are in a really good place. But we also, because one of our ways of life in our family is our marriage comes first, we do recognize that we need a day. We also recognize, like, we need a date. We need to go out to dinner. We need to go to the movies.
There's a lot of good movies coming out.
Yeah. Yeah,
a lot of good movies.
We need to be intimate. Like, we recognize, we recognize all of those things. Like, it has been a minute.
Yeah.
And when we don't do usually those three things, where we're either sitting in a room together, chilling, spending time together, cuddling, we're not going on dates, or not being intimate, we also notice that we start to bicker more. We recognize that we're on each other's throats more. And so spending time together is something that we have to be intentional about, even if it's a 10-minute conversation at the kitchen table. But I know that's kind of a long answer for like a pretty easy question. But basically, in our craziness, we have to recognize like we need time together. And also we do a lot of things together. Like we prioritize, we usually work out together at least once a week. If not twice a week. I stay at home with our kids. Okay. So I don't have a lot of adult interaction. So I be FaceTiming him a few times during the day.
A few?
I be FaceTiming him a lot during the day. And
I would say every hour and a half to 2 hours, if not sooner than that. But
and sometimes
I get
though
a
it's our
FaceTime
daughter
call.
who's like, I'm gonna talk to daddy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to daddy. And I literally just turn the phone and let her talk to you. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, he's got to go to work. But then there are times I'm like, hey, guess what? I like saw a squirrel today. You know,
Squirrel.
I don't have a lot of adult interaction. So I'm either calling you or calling one of my girlfriends. And I'm like, okay, guys, I have to say
yeah,
something.
but then you get off the phone with them and you're like, I got to tell you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Usually even after I got off the phone with one of my best friends, I'm like, Wes, I got to contact. I got to tell you what happened on the phone. I got to tell you what I just found out. That's what happens when you marry your best friend. You're like the first person I want to say things to. Our way of life is that our marriage comes first.
Yep.
So we are going to do everything we can to make sure that that is integrated, like into this life.
What was that word you just said?
Integrated?
That's it.
What
I'm
did
pretty sure you just said integrated.
Whatever. That is integrated into our everyday life, and that doesn't get neglected. But the thing is that you will drop the ball. Life will get extra busy. Things will come up where it's like, hey, we're not spending a lot of time together. We need to do whatever we need to do that.
Correct.
So that's how we do that.
Number 3.
How do you manage being so far away from your family? You can answer that more than me because I'm not super far away from
Lots
mine.
of FaceTime calls.
Yeah.
I talk to my mom and dad at least once a week on
Yeah.
FaceTime, if not multiple times a week. They come into town quite a bit when they can.
We try to at least plan. Just because it is not as easy for us with kids, we usually go about twice a year to go see them. But we usually stay several days when we're there. Like
we
at least 4 days usually when we go.
Yeah,
every
we're either
time.
taking a long weekend or I'm taking off work.
Yeah.
And like we're staying
And
for
they'll
4 to
come a
5
couple
days.
times a
Or
year.
they come up here.
They come
And
for
they
usually
come-
every birthday.
Yeah, they come for birthdays. They come for holidays that we can't go down there. At least like maybe a week before or a week after they come.
I would say you can do the FaceTime calls and all of that, but how we manage to get by without having family close is genuinely building our friendships and investing in our relationships here.
Is that what the question said?
How do you manage being so far away from family?
Oh, okay. I was making sure I didn't hear the question wrong. Okay.
But how we manage that is we do talk to our family as much as we can.
Yeah.
We'd visit as much as we can, but we also have built relationships and friendships here
Yep.
that of a group of people that we can rely on. And honestly, as much as we don't love being away from our families. Like I would love to have our families close, but there is a piece of us that values the fact that we have had to figure this out. We've never been able to run home to mom and dad.
Correct.
And has that been challenging?
Yes.
Yes. But we don't get that little bit of a crutch of like, well, when things get hard, I'll just go to mom and dad. Like we don't get to do that. We have to figure it out. And it's honestly, it's helped us tremendously to grow.
Yeah.
Because we've been like, well, tough nails. We've got to figure this out.
Yeah.
And it's made us very dependent on each other, but it's also made us very independent as a family, realizing that we have to keep going.
Yeah.
And we don't just get to, run home to mom and dad or whatever. I think it's been really healthy for us to figure out arguments, figure out fights, like to figure out how to love each other well and love each other's differences without having family like that close to where they don't get a voice. Not that we don't want our, I know it sounds bad, and I don't mean that. We do love our like the input of our family. But I mean, we have great families. Like our parents are not, my mom is definitely not like always in our business, like trying to know everything. Your parents are definitely not like that. Yeah. Like they totally are amazing with how we live our life, and they just are here for us. But I have seen some people who've had issues like that in their relationships with parents or family, like causing issues, and like we don't have that, and we get to just figure this out. And as much as I wish that we had family that lived so much closer, on the plus side, there is always like a pro and con to everything.
Correct.
On the pro side of it is it has made us very strong. Mm-hmm. And we don't regret it. We miss our families. We wish they were closer, but we have never once regretted doing this for us.
Number
I'm going to let you.
4?
I don't know. I didn't number them. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to let you answer it. And then I already know my answer for this one, so I'm really excited. What is the best date that we have ever been on?
Well, the first thing that pops in my head is when we took the Jeep to the drive-in.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah. Back when we had the Jeep.
Yep.
I miss that thing.
We also took your Mustang to the drive-in that one time. We pulled the top down.
And you fell asleep.
I knew you were going to say that. You're going to rat me out.
I looked over and you were asleep.
It was also 1 a.m. and that movie was boring.
There also was the time we went camping in the Jeep.
I was going to say that was
Is that
one.
your...
No, that's not mine. That was my second one.
When we went camping in the Jeep that time.
For
that was fun.
our anniversary.
Yeah.
That was so
Instead of getting
fun.
a hotel or going somewhere.
That was so... I highly recommend doing that.
Yeah, it was fun.
So we had a
camping.
Jeep Wrangler, and it was for our anniversary a few years ago, and we laid all the seats down in the Jeep, and I brought so many, like all the couch cushions and the pillows, like I brought all this stuff, and we camped out.
I cooked over the open fire.
Yep. Okay, but it rained, remember?
Yep.
So
it was a pain in
we
the
could not get our food like
get the
fully
fire. Well, we couldn't get the
cooked.
fire fully going.
Yeah, because all the wood was wet.
Like the small embers that we had to cook those steaks.
I ate like a medium rare steak that night.
It was good. I'll eat medium rare steak now.
But I don't eat medium rare steak.
We had cold beans.
Yeah, cold baked beans. But we got in there and we shut all the doors. And our anniversary's in November, so it was cold. But we had like let the heat, like we turned the car on. It was like hot, and then we had shut all the doors. And then before we went and we got in there and we watched a Netflix movie. Like I had pulled up, or we had brought the laptop or something, and we watched a movie. And then when we decided we were going to go to sleep, we turned the car off and all the heat stayed in there, but we slept in like sweatpants, sweatshirts.
We had like
several blankets. And we slept so good.
It was a good night.
It was a good night.
I woke up the next morning at like 7 a.m.
Yep. But all you could hear was just like birds chirping and like, that was fun.
It was good.
Yeah.
What was yours?
Okay. So mine is like a date weekend, but it was a date. My favorite date we ever took was when we went to that Harry Potter Airbnb.
That's not really I guess it's a date.
It was such a date. I still think about that.
That was a birthday weekend, though.
Yeah, but we were only there for like 2 days. No, that was literally the most
was good.
fun.
That was fun.
I surprised Wes for his birthday. So Wes and I are... Well, we're 2 years apart. I'm older than him, but we're 5 days apart. So we usually always do like a weekend thing together around the weekend of our birthday. But this particular year, I was on TikTok and I found this Harry Potter Airbnb. And when I was like, this is such a cool... Like, I wasn't looking for it. It just popped up. And it was like I don't remember where, in Georgia.
It wasn't far.
Chickamauga, Georgia, like I think. And I was like, dang, where is that? So when I clicked on it, it's basically Chattanooga, which is where I grew up pretty much. And so I was like, and this was right after I finished like the whole Harry Potter series for the first time. So I was like on my high of Harry Potter.
Yep.
And I was like, Wes would love this. So I so that he couldn't see. I booked it on the credit card because Wes never gets on the credit card thing to see like what we like pay and stuff on there. And I booked that whole weekend in basically Chattanooga at this Airbnb. He had no idea. It was like the day we were leaving, and I was like, pack a bag. We're going on a trip. And he was like, where are we? And Wes does not like surprises.
No, I'm not.
The problem is that Wes doesn't like surprises, but my love language is surprising people.
Yeah.
So like I want to surprise Wes every single year with
I
something.
just want to know what's going on. I want to know
Wes
the plan.
Is like, can you please
tell me what's going on?
Last year I surprised you for your birthday too. I think it was 2 years ago. I surprised him with like a bachelor trip because he never had one, and all of his guys took like his closest guy friends took him out, and he was like, "Where are we going?"
You didn't tell me nothing. Because
All the guys knew.
again, I work with one of my best friends,
Yeah,
and he was just like,
you're riding with me, buddy.
yeah,
Get in the car.
I get off work at this time. I already talked to everybody. You're gonna be done at this time. We're gonna get in the car and we're driving to where we're going. And I was like, where are we going? He was like, I can't tell you. So we get in the car and we drove for 3.5 hours. And I was like, where are we going? All of a sudden we show up in Nashville. And I was like, what is happening? What is going on?
Oh, the boys booked that for you. I just told them, I said, tell me where you want to go. I'll find you an Airbnb. I'll make it happen. Anyways, that's a side note. So this particular time, we drive, and Chattanooga is not too far from Knoxville.
No,
It's like probably 2
2
hours, a little less than that. And so we just get in the car and we drive. And I actually you were driving, and I was like, okay, it's right up here. And you're like, where are we going? And we pull off of this little road and we pull up, and the Weasley car is sitting out front. And Wes's eyes are like, what is this? And I was like, let's go look. And we get to the door, and they have like this whole thing that's like you're supposed to say aloha mora, and like the whole thing to like get in. And we go in, and it's literally like the dorm room. Mm-hmm. They've got the 2 beds with the posts.
The poster beds.
Yeah, and like little tiny kitchen and like a little living room area.
The bathroom was like...
Oh my gosh, that bathroom
was
so
like you
cool.
walked into the Ministry of Magic. Like
it was
like the
so
dark
cool.
tile.
Yep.
With like green accents.
It had this huge clawfoot tub, and the sink had like this projector thing in it that looked like...
It looked like the... pensive.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of the word.
Yeah. And it was just really cool in there. It was so dark and like moody.
Cool. But then they had all the little trinkets and all the wands in a case. They had all of the Horcruxes throughout the house.
Yep.
It was just really cool. They had all the movies there. So we watched all of them.
Yep.
We ordered pizza and we just stayed in.
Yeah. I think we went out once, like the day of your birthday, because it was like around that weekend. We went and did like axe throwing or whatever. You remember? And we got lunch, but then we literally came right back and just ordered pizza for dinner and watched movies all day.
Yep.
It was
a good trip.
Still think about that trip, and I'm like, we need another one. It was the best. I mean,
it was
like a 2-day thing, so it's like a date.
It's not really a date, but whatever. I'll give it to you.
It was the best.
I'll give it to you.
What is our favorite game to play together?
Spades.
We love playing spades.
I love spades.
It's a 4-person game, though.
is.
But Wes and I do love playing together.
I love playing against you.
Yeah, we don't like playing on the same team because he
No.
gets mad at me.
Yeah.
Wes is super competitive, and I am not. I literally couldn't care less. I'm like just having a good time. Yeah. And he's like, why would you lay that card down? And I'm like, are we getting divorced? Like, what's happening?
We might if you don't quit laying... Girl.
Like,
anyway.
he legit has gotten so upset at me before.
It doesn't help that most of the time the people we play with are also very competitive, and you are the most non-competitive person.
And I'm just
I've
rolling
ever
my
met in
eyes
life.
like, are we serious?
So like we're
right
all
now?
like literally trying to win.
Listen, I just can't. The new thing we like to do right now is play Clark's Princess Memory Match game. We have to like flip the... We like to just sit together and play that. It's really fun.
We don't play it a lot, but when we do play it, we play it for a long time, which is speed.
Oh, yeah, we do like to play speed.
We don't play
That's
it a ton, but when we do play it, we'll play it for hours.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yep.
We like card games.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun, so we're back to serious. So this one has
Bringing the mood down.
This one
Bringing the mood down.
It's good. This one has several parts to it. We're going to kind of keep these quick because there's several. What is the hardest part of marriage? I'll go.
Okay.
Since you're still thinking.
Go ahead. I have an answer. But
For me, the hardest part of our marriage is how different we are as far as the way we were raised, the way we communicate.
I was going to say communication.
Yeah. The hardest part of our marriage is definitely the way we communicate.
Yep.
I am very expressive. I'm very emotional. I'm very sensitive. I hate the word emotional because that sounds, I'm sensitive. I'm very tender. Wes is not. Therefore, we miscommunicate a lot based on the way we talk to each other. We don't understand the other in the way we communicate. Not so much what we say, but how we say things. That is the hardest thing for me in our marriage.
I agree.
And
I
period. What is the hardest part of friendships? For me, I would say the hardest part of having friendships and being in friendships is for me, the way that I grew up, I didn't have a ton of super, super close friends. So for me, it's like the question always lingering of like, well, when will this end? Like, when will this friendship just die off? Because all the rest of them have. And so that's why it's hard for me to get close to people, because in the back of my mind, I'm always like, well, this will eventually end anyways. No friendship could last this long, kind of a thing. So I get insecure, and I'm always like in my head about, well, they're eventually going to find someone that they'll be closer with. So I have to I'm constantly having to remind myself to be secure in my friendships. And that's hard for me because it's not just like where a lot of people have like just easy friendships. And they're just like, this is my bestie, this is my best friend. We're like soulmates and all this stuff. And I'm like, I love my friends, but I'm scared they're just not gonna be my friends in like 5 years, which is not true, but it is something I'm having to always work through. Wes is pretty like solid in like who he loves. And he's like, you're not going anywhere. Like, I think we talked about that before. Like, when Wes sinks his teeth into you as a friend, like, you're in it. We were with some of our best friends. Well, you weren't. You were at work. I was with some of our best friends today.
Whatever.
We were leaving after hanging out. And I told Clark, I was like, all right, go tell Kason bye. We're leaving. And runs up and just bear hugs him, like squeezes him. And we all started laughing because I was like, okay, what's so funny? Because they're 4, okay? I'm like, most little friends who are like 4, they're going to awkwardly side hug each other. And I looked at, like my friends, we were all standing there like, what's so funny about that is that's how you know they are real friends. When you're like, because Kason was like talking to someone. When you're like, I don't care, we're good, and I'm hugging you. And Kason's grandmother looked at me and said, that was the most Wes thing I've ever seen her do. And I literally was like, that's because that's what he does. That's because Wes does that with Jam. Like, Jam could be talking to somebody and Wes is going to interrupt and be like, no, give me a hug. Like, and he's going to bear hug him.
I ain't going to tell you to give me a hug. I'm just going to hug you.
Exactly. That's what Clark was she didn't say anything. She just grabbed him. And we were laughing about it. And I was like, that is so Wes. Like, when he loves people, he's just like, you don't get a choice. Like, I don't feel like you struggle a lot in friendships because
I do think
you struggle to make friends sometimes because it takes you a minute.
Yeah, I gravitate towards big personalities because, like, I hate the whole like awkward introductions and all that stuff.
Small talk.
Big personalities are easy for me because it makes it easier to just jump in.
Yeah.
And
also you have a huge personality,
correct.
And so
it makes it.
You don't ever want to like overpower someone.
It doesn't make me feel like I'm overpowering somebody, and it's also easier to just jump in.
Yeah.
Which makes sense when you look at who some of my closest friends are.
Those people are never going to ask you your favorite color.
No.
Like, they're just going to be like, you're ugly. Like, they're going to like make fun of you.
Correct.
I say that. They're not actually going to say Wes is ugly. Actually, all of Wes's friends.
They might.
No, all of Wes's friends, and the way that Wes's friend group is they're all like obsessed with each other, and they always call each other big sexy, and like they hype each other up and smack each other on the butt.
You should see their names in my phone.
No, you shouldn't. It's actually, you should not. Don't look through Wes's contact list.
I would say though, like, even though I am an 8, and most of the time I don't mind calling people out and like, or at least telling you what I think. I do think that sometimes with friendships, it can be a little hard sometimes to have some hard conversations.
Yeah.
Just because, kind of like what you were saying, like, I don't want this to end.
Yeah. And if I'm too harsh, will it?
Correct.
Or, yeah.
Or if I call them out on their bullcrap right now, like, is this gonna hurt our friendship? So I do think that can be hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But again, I gravitate towards big personalities. So most of the time, if a hard conversation is had, and we're all goofballs anyway, most of the time it's just like, my bad.
Yeah.
And then we go right back to cutting up. So,
Yeah.
but I would say that's probably the hard part.
Yeah. What is the
communication again?
Yeah.
I struggle with communication if you haven't noticed.
What is the hardest part of raising children?
Raising children.
You stop it.
All of it.
No, he's lying.
I'm not.
He is. Okay.
I'm not.
The hardest part for me of raising children is the fact that they are their own person and I can't control them. Like,
so raising children.
Hush up. But like,
I'm not joking. Like, the hardest part of raising children is raising children. There's not an easy part of any of it. Is it worth it? Yes. Do I love it? Yes. Am I excited to see how they grow up and what they grow into and what they love to do and how they go on with life? Yes. But is it hard? Yes.
I love being a mom. And
I'm not saying I don't love being a dad. I don't love this, but
I'll be honest.
It's hard.
And this is going to sound so like people are going to listen to this and roll their eyes. To me, it is easier than I thought it would be. And
I'm glad you think that.
I say that because I think I did have such like a hard expectation of like, because so many people were always telling me how hard it is to raise kids. So they made it seem so scary. And then when I had kids, I was like, okay, it's challenging, but like, dang, y'all acted like my life was over. Like,
yeah, I'm not saying
it's not like that.
No.
Like, dang, like this. I love this. Like,
yeah.
It is hard. It is challenging. And I have two girls with huge personalities.
With my personality.
With stubborn
and
personalities.
Yeah, I was about to say, your personalities in Clark.
So they're stubborn and they're loud and I love, though, that they both say what they mean like Wes does. They're not people pleasers. Like, they're going to do what they want to do.
Yep.
And so that's challenging and having to like U-turn back to, you can't just do what you want to do. You're 4. Hey, Potter, you can't jump off the couch head first. You'll die. Like,
she loves to do, by the way. She loves to climb up on the back of this.
And just try to jump. And like,
I don't even think she's trying to jump. I think she wants to hang there like by her feet.
Dive.
I don't know.
I mean, my life is
she's trying to be a
literally
trapeze artist or something.
My life is literally 90% of it is trying to keep Potter alive.
Yeah.
And like, that is hard.
Don't run on the road.
Yeah, like, but it's hard because, in all fairness, and Wes and I have talked about this, and we could do a whole episode on parenting, but like,
we probably will.
Wes and I are trying to learn how to regulate our emotions.
Yep.
How to regulate how we feel. And when we have not fully done that yet and are still in the work of doing that, our children are reaping the consequences of that.
Yep.
So our 4-year-old doesn't know how to regulate her emotions. So when she has an eruption, we also have eruptions that look like adult tantrums.
Yeah. That's exactly
but then
what
we're like, don't have a tantrum at 4. And Wes and I are having to look at each other going, regulate. I would say the hardest part is like regulating myself to teach her how to regulate herself.
Yeah.
And then I can't control her. So when she does have an outburst because she can't reach a gummy, I can't control that. So that's hard. The hardest part of living healthy.
Eating
healthy. For me, it's the hardest part. I'm a very picky eater.
I don't even say, like, right now you're not trying to eat healthy because you're just trying to eat.
I'm just trying to make sure I eat enough calories.
Yeah. For me, I mean, eating is the hardest part, or not eating.
We are comfort food people and we're bored eaters. So when we're just chilling, we want a snack.
When we're sitting there watching a movie or TV.
A bag of Doritos sounds really good.
Well, it's not even like, I mean, yes, that sounds great. But like, I think I've done good about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially being at the house, I struggle so like I have a routine. Like I know I plan out my meals the night before. it's on the weekends after church and we go out to eat.
Or
We're hanging out with friends late watching a UFC fight at Joe and Katie's
like,
house.
let's order pizza.
Yeah, let's order pizza. Or that's when I struggle. And it doesn't matter. Like, I can plan for that and I will bring my food with me. But when it's 11:30 at night and we're still there watching the fights.
And we're snacky.
And now I'm snacking. So
the hardest part for me is
eating is the hardest part
that
for me.
I am so picky. So like eating healthy is difficult when you're like,
for you, yeah.
Why don't you just do some oatmeal with some berries? And but I'm like, ew.
Yeah, you don't like oatmeal. I love oatmeal.
It's
We're gonna have to do an episode.
Or like all these
where
people
we
who
talk
are like,
about this
eat
stuff.
cottage cheese. I'm like, "Ugh, no.
Oh, I love cottage cheese. But also,
I'm not
if you
doing
put
that.
it in the right stuff, you can't taste it.
No, I'm not doing that.
Anyway, we're gonna have to do an episode about like talking about stuff like that.
Yeah, we will.
Anyway, eating is the hardest part. Going to the gym now, that's easy. Like, it's part of the routine.
Yeah. So somebody asked if we do any devotionals with our girls. And if we do, what are they? Go ahead.
No. We do not. No.
When this question came up, I was like, this is so embarrassing.
No, we don't. I think it's great if you want to.
Yeah.
I have nothing against that.
Nope.
We just obviously they go to kids' church on Sundays. They send home a paper every Sunday of what they went over, what they've learned. We go over that with them. So I guess that would be the only like devotional like thing that we would do.
We kind of just reiterate what they talked about and kind of we try to pull it out.
We try to ask questions.
Keep those conversations going during the week.
But Clark, like she definitely, like she asks questions. She tries to understand things.
Yep.
Obviously, being in worship and stuff like that, like we listen to a lot of, not every day or all day, but we do listen to a lot of worship stuff. She still doesn't fully understand the whole Jesus dying on a cross thing.
She still thinks that my dad died on the cross.
We were talking today about my great grandmother who died a couple months ago. Well, she was talking to Emily about this, and apparently
she asked what happened to Granny.
She asked what happened to
I
Granny.
Said she died. She said,
she died on the cross. So she doesn't
like,
she doesn't fully understand that yet.
She died in the hospital.
Yeah.
We say things like Jesus lives in your heart.
Yeah.
But he lives in you to help you be whole. Holy Spirit walks with you to help you. Like for her, she's learning right now. They're learning at church. Like the Holy Spirit helps you make good choices. And so we talk a lot about that at home. I think the biggest thing for us is that I don't know how to say this without it sounding, it's going to sound terrible no matter how I say it. And that's fine. You can take it how you want. But one of our things is we're not going to just like shove this down her throat.
No.
Our girls are not going to be like, you're going to believe in God. You're going to worship Jesus. I want my girls to just live an everyday life with an awareness of the presence of Jesus.
Yeah, I don't want to, like you said, shove it down their throat.
I want them to see it in us.
That's what I was going to say. I want to live it in a way, and I want to show them in a way of who God is, how God loves, what Jesus did for us.
Yes.
And then through that is how I want them to see God.
I want her to create a relationship with him because she wants a relationship with him, not because mom and dad told me I had to have a relationship with him. No. Definitely tried to create a space of, we talk about God. Mm-hmm. Jesus is very prevalent in our home. Mm-hmm. So the answer is we're not against them.
No.
I do not have like a, here's one you should do. I hope you find one.
Yeah.
And if you find a great one that you love, share it with people. These are some fun ones. Is Wes as obsessed with the Enneagram as Emily?
No. Not even close.
Wes could literally not care less.
Do I think they help? Sure, yes. Am I obsessed with it like Emily is? Absolutely not.
Wes barely knows. He knows like my number and his number. He literally doesn't know anything else.
I know a little bit more than that. But only because you told me.
What does that mean? What is a 3?
They're
the what?
No, Hannah's a 4.
Oh, yeah. My girl's a 4. Yeah.
Oh, I know what a 3 is. Yeah.
What are they called, though?
I don't know.
You had no idea. What's
Antagonist?
the 4 called? No. Weston. Jesus.
That's me. No, I'm not obsessed with it like Emily is. I think it can be helpful.
Yeah.
But I'd also I'm like some people use it as an excuse for the way they act, and I'm like,
definitely not that.
I know. I'm not saying you do.
No, yeah, I know.
Some
I do
people
not agree with
do
that.
because they are so obsessed with it. Especially eights. There's a lot of eights out there that use the Enneagram to.
Well, I'm an 8, so I can just be rude.
Correct.
No,
that's not how that works. Yeah.
I think it's been helpful. It's been helpful for our marriage, and it's been helpful for our friendships. It's been huge. So no, he doesn't care. He literally could care less. So Wes says he wants to be in full-time ministry. Where would he want to serve?
Production, worship.
Pretty much what you're doing now.
Basically what I'm doing now. Obviously,
on a broader scale, though.
Yeah, obviously I am the associate pastor. Yeah. I don't really know how that works.
Well, we're also both over the media department.
Yes. So like I help Emily, but aside from that, I also help with worship. I help our worship pastor, now the worship pastor. Still weird saying that, but I help him any way that I can. If he has questions or we need to work on stuff, I'm always there. But the thing that I'm like over is like production, so lighting, video. Obviously, playing drums is what I love to do. Yeah. It would be my number one. Like if I could travel and play drums, that would be the goal.
Yeah. And he's great at all of that stuff. Okay,
except for the scheduling, which is why I make Emily do it.
Yeah. Okay, so this one's for me. If I was not the associate pastor, what is my dream job?
Ooh.
That's wild. I mean, I do love leading worship. So originally when we moved here, I had no desire to be the worship pastor.
Yep. I
actually told Wes, he was like, you'd be great at it. I'm like, no, I want to travel and lead worship. That's all I want to do. I do not want to do that. Obviously the Lord had other plans for me. But I definitely would love to travel and lead worship. I do love leading worship. I also was going to school to be like a counselor. I would love to be like a therapist. I love learning about the brain. I took a lot of psychology classes. Deeply love learning about that kind of stuff.
If I could change my career path and not be in ministry, what would mine be? What's the answer?
I don't know.
You know the answer.
I'm probably going to kick myself.
A barber.
Oh my gosh. I cannot. Let's ask that question again. I'll know the answer. No, that's total. I know that. I knew that. I'm sorry. It's late. It's getting late. No, Wes would totally be a barber.
I would love to be a barber.
Yeah, you'd be so good at it. If we had the time to do it, we would do it. If we had the money to where you didn't have to work and you could just go do it, we would have already done it. But for him to work all day and then they do part-time, which takes 2 years, you have to do night classes pretty much every single day.
4 days a week.
4 days a week from Saturdays 5 to 9 p.m.
So 5:30 to 9.
Yeah.
Tuesday
for 2 years.
Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 to 9, and then every other Saturday.
If that doesn't tell you that he's been looking it up.
I know all the information.
But like that would, for me not to have Wes home for 2 years until the girls are already asleep and in bed, he would never see his kids.
Clark would be almost 7 by that point.
Yeah.
Like that's 2 years I'm missing.
Yeah. It's just not ideal.
Potter would be 4.
Yeah. I mean, if we had the money to where you could just quit your job for right now and go full time during the day, it would be done in a year.
Less.
Yeah. You could be done in really fast and that would be ideal, but that's just not the season we're in right now. And so
but that's what I would like to do.
Yeah. Wes would be phenomenal barber. Someone wants to know, actually, we're going to call this person out because it's specific. Sarah wants to know that if her and Kevin get married, will you be their flower girl?
Yeah. Yeah.
With a little bow tie.
Tux.
Sarah, if you're listening.
If you want me to do it, I'm going to do it right.
He has to wear a tuxedo.
I'm not wearing a tux.
And a bow tie, and he's going to just drop flower petals.
No.
People want to know how we named our girls.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. So,
Start with Potter.
okay.
Start with
So,
Potter.
she is not named after Harry Potter, despite what people think. Despite what people think. Okay. So, I have some family friends that I've known for a really, really, really long time. Their last name's Potter. They're in ministry. I love them deeply. Whatever. I've always loved their last name. Always. I've always thought it was just like cool. That was way before I was a Harry Potter fan. I didn't start watching Harry Potter until like 2021. When we were pregnant with Potter, I also was scrolling through Pinterest and saw the name Potter. It was like on a little baby boy's blanket. And I was like, oh my gosh, Wes, if this is a little boy, we should name him Potter. And Wes was the one that said, I think it'd be cute for a little girl. Mm-hmm. So we went with it. And we love it.
Yep.
And it just so happens that we're also Harry Potter fans, but it's not the same.
Yeah,
it's not
she's
why.
She's not named after Harry Potter.
No. You tell Clark.
If she was going to be named after Harry Potter, we wouldn't have named her after Harry Potter. We would have named her after somebody else.
For sure.
The book series.
She would have been something intertwined because when you're a huge fan, you're not just going to name them Potter. Tonks or something. Oh. I know.
Anyway, Clark is named after... So there's a TV show that me and Emily fell in love with when we were
just got married.
We just got married. And there's a show called The 100. Mm-hmm. There is a girl on that show who is the leader, the main girl. And her name is Clark. And she is...
freaking awesome.
She is bad to the bone. Yeah. And... we fell in love with the show, and while we were watching the show, we were just like, if we ever have a daughter, we should name her after this character.
But we both thought we were going to be boy parents.
Yeah.
We always thought, we were like, it'll never happen.
Yeah, but we were like, if we have a daughter, like, this would be fun.
Yeah.
And then we found out we were having a girl, and we were both like...
So she's just named after a TV show character that we really loved. Mm-hmm. That's it. Nothing special. So 2 questions left. The first one is... how do you do mealtime with your kids, and how do you address like the picky eaters? So as far as the picky eater thing goes, we have one picky eater and one non-picky eater.
Correct.
Clark is our picky eater. She likes mac and cheese, chicken nuggets, spaghetti, ramen noodles, SpaghettiOs, peanut butter sandwiches. Yep, that's about it. One thing about the picky eater thing. So I am somewhat a picky eater. I was a picky eater pretty much my entire life. I'm branching out now, like as an adult. I'll try pretty much anything. I mean, I just decided like a month ago that I love sour cream for the first time ever.
Thank God.
I've hated sour cream my entire life, and
all of a sudden I'm like,
all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I crave sour cream. Something's wrong. But for me, I'm like, number one, she will grow out of this for the most part.
Yeah.
As she gets older, she will try new things. But the thing about it is it won't last forever. And even if it does, they eat. And if there are so many worse things out there that I could stress myself out about, other than the fact that my kid only eats 4 things. Yeah. And for me, I'm like, you know what? If I'm inconvenienced to just have to pop 4 chicken nuggets in the microwave really quick to give her with our sides that we're already eating. And that's the thing is like, I will always, if we're making dinner, something she won't eat, I will always make something that she can eat. I know that it can be very frustrating, but like at the end of the day, you can't shove things in their mouth and force them to eat them. Yeah. And I'm not going to stress my kid out or myself out, because all it does when I get frustrated with her, all it does is stress me out. And she's just getting more and more upset because she's not going to eat it.
Well, and it could also, not saying it will, but it could create an unhealthy view of food.
Yeah.
Because now you're making them at a young age eat whatever's right in front of them.
I am very so meal times, which we have a routine. So we get up we start getting dressed. As soon as my girls wake up, we get dressed. Breakfast isn't huge at our house. I'm not a huge breakfast eater. My breakfast is a protein shake and a protein bar. That's what I have for breakfast every morning. I'm not super hungry in the mornings. I cannot make myself eat. Like, I'm not going to get up and scramble eggs and bacon. I'm also not that person. I don't do mornings.
God, that sounds so good.
But to be honest, first thing in the morning, if it's 8 o'clock in the morning, because I'm such a night owl, all I want to be is in bed. If I'm up at 8 in the morning with my kids, I don't want to eat. I want to be asleep. So I'm not hungry. I will either make my girls like a bowl of cereal while I'm getting dressed. My girls love granola bars, like those Nutri-Grain fruit bars or whatever. We also do like applesauce pouches. Clark loves yogurt. She's always has like a Danimals yogurt or like a bowl of yogurt or something, just like on the go. Like, here, eat this real quick while mommy gets dressed,
Yeah.
so that we can get out of the house and go. And then after the gym, we come back. I make lunch. So I do ask them to sit and eat, but most of the time we're home anyways. So I'll sit it down on the table and they just play and eat as they want. And again, that's for me. That is what is easiest for me. That's how I am. So that's what works for us. I think what is important is you figure out a routine for what works for you.
Yeah.
But that doesn't stress you out.
Yeah. And then dinner time, like,
We do sit together and eat as a family.
not every night.
Yeah.
We normally sit at the table.
Yeah.
Unless we have, like, I don't know. When we had pizza that night, we still sat at the table. So, unless there's a football game on or something, then I'm sitting on the couch watching the football game. But
I would say at least 4 nights out of the week we're at the table.
Most of the time we're sitting at the table and stuff like that. But like, we don't, depending on the day, how tired we are, stuff like that. Sometimes, like, we're sitting at the table, you can see the TV from the table.
Mm-hmm.
We just leave the TV on. The girls watch TV. Me and Emily talk, or me and Emily are playing on our phones. Like, it just depends. Some night we turn the TV off. We're like, no, we're all sitting down. We're all going to talk. We're all going to have dinner together. It just depends. And we just play it by ear.
My girls are well fed. I am not stressed about it because I've just given up the stress of, like, it has to look like this. Because at the end of the day, like, one thing that I really that helps me get through parenting is, like, maybe this is rough right now, but it won't be like this forever.
Correct.
And like even little things, like my kids wanting to crawl in my bed. Is that frustrating? Yes. But when she will not still be in my bed when she's 15. Like, you know what I mean? Or 10.
Absolutely not.
Like, it won't be like this forever.
Yeah.
So I need to just take a deep breath and realize that I'm not ruining their life if I let them sleep in our bed one night. They're not going to be messed up and dependent upon me 24/7.
I'm just going to say this. They don't sleep in our bed all night.
No. But if they come crawl in our bed, I'm not going to
4
fight.
a.m.
I'm not going to fight with her about it. Like, that's
I'm
fine.
rolling over, go back to sleep. It's 4 a.m.
Get up here and lay down. Just don't make a noise. Okay, last question. This is a really good one. This is going to be tough.
Oh, it's not a fun question?
No.
We're not ending on a fun question?
No, we can, though. We can make something up.
Go ahead.
How do you address differences when parenting?
I don't have an answer for that.
When Wes and I first got married, we were pretty much on the exact same page. We're parenting like this. Then we had kids. And we were like, wait a second, we should eat our words. Because it doesn't work like this. And number one, the way we were parented is not really the same way we parent our kids. Not that we were parented bad. We just have changed some things. Mainly because, number one, our kids are not us.
Correct.
So you can't parent.
Oh, no. Potter might be me.
Potter is definitely you. I'm going to send her to your parents for just several months and let them sort it out because I am so lost. Just lost in the sauce over here with that one. We definitely learned very fast that Clark did not respond well to certain things. She does not respond well to you raising your voice at her.
Nope.
She crumbles.
She is sensitive.
Yeah, she's very sensitive. She crumbles. You could look at her sideways and everything crumbles. She hates the thought of upsetting someone.
Yep.
Like I could say, don't do that. And she's like, am I in trouble? Like immediately wondering, which it's weird because it seems like she has some kind of like built up trauma. And I'm like, you're 4. What trauma could you have of like this fear of being in trouble? Like you're like hardly ever in trouble. Where did you get this?
You've probably been in timeout once.
Literally once. Where is this coming from? But she deeply cares that to do the right thing. And she also is like your typical oldest child of like, I want to behave. I want to be like, I want to do the right thing. She's a kid. She definitely doesn't get it all right all the time. But you can tell that she's striving to. And then if I were to look at her and be like, stop it, instant tears. Now, if I were to look at Potter and say, stop it, she'd smack me upside the head and take off running and
She'll
think
look
it's
at you
funny.
and go, no.
Yeah. I'm going to sit you outside. Literally going to sit you outside on the porch. And I'm like, we going to fight. We going to fight, little girl. But Wes and I, because I stay home with the girls, I'm with them way more. So I notice more what works on Clark, what works on Potter, what terrifies Clark. Nothing terrifies Potter. What will crush Clark's spirit. So I am definitely navigating how to parent in a little bit more of a gentle manner than what I originally thought I was going to be parenting in. Because I'm with my girls so often, I'm seeing what is actually crushing their spirits from the way that I talk to them in comparison to what is actually helping grow them.
Yep.
And so when Wes gets home, sometimes he will
Put my foot down.
Yeah, you're more just direct and like straightforward, and you will raise your voice sometimes, and you do kind of like get onto them quicker. And when when Clark has like her meltdown and you're looking at me like, what the heck? Sometimes I have to like, Wes and I have to talk about like, this is not working. I know you're not here during the day, but does not work with her. It has been challenging.
Yeah.
Because there are some times where you've looked at me and been like, so I'm just not doing a good job. And I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. It's just I'm with her more. She has told me the things that really hurt her feelings. She's told me the things she doesn't like. I've seen the way that when I raise my voice at her, I see that it crushes her. I also see how it affects her when I don't even raise my voice at her. Like the other day, she dropped something and spilt it. And I was like, it's okay. And she just immediately started crying. I'm sorry. And that is my fault for all the times that I like got onto her for something small just because that's what I thought you're supposed to do, to like put your foot down. And so because I've seen those things and Wes hasn't seen those things, our parenting styles have been different only because I am trying to navigate of that more. And also because I'm with my girls so much, I am trying to learn how to self-regulate regularly because I'm with them all the time. So I'm constantly having to tell myself, regulate your emotions, Emily. You're the mom. You're teaching her how to regulate.
It's tough because, I mean, like we talked about, we have 2 totally different personalities.
Yes.
I'm very much direct to the point.
Yep.
With almost everything
Yep.
in my life.
And you don't want fluff and you don't
No.
want emotion. You just want
No.
to, let's just say it.
And when I'm told Clark 5 different times to pick up the toys in the living room and take them to her bedroom, she's throwing herself on the floor saying, how long is it going to take? And like all that stuff.
I want that on a t-shirt just because of Clark.
How long is it going to take?
How long is it going to take?
Yeah, sometimes it's hard for me to not raise my voice.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's also what we were taught to do
yeah.
growing up. Like to get your point across, you raise your voice.
Also growing up in sports and stuff like that, like
Correct.
everybody's yelling there.
Yeah.
So like it's definitely a learning curve for both of us because I think there is a balance to both of those things. I think there is a balance of like putting your foot down, but also knowing like when to, give the space.
When to get on their level.
Correct.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I think we do a good job of that. Like, especially with Emily being here, all day with the girls. Sometimes by the time I get home, she's done, and she's like, I can't do this anymore.
I need a break. I
And
need a bath.
she's the one that's blowing up on Clark over small things, and I'm the one that has to step in and be like, hey, like, you go take a shower.
Yeah.
Just step away for a second. I'll take care of it. Let me talk to Clark. Yeah, I think there's definitely a balancing out there. It is tough. Both parents have to be willing to take criticism.
Yeah.
I think there's always going to be some sort of a defense there because, at least for me, you are like, sometimes when you tell me something, it does feel like you're telling me like I don't know what I'm doing, or you have to be willing to hear it. And maybe in the moment it's hard, but like, just being willing to hear each other out, not get frustrated with each other as best as possible.
I also think, like, on the flip side of that, you're not going to be perfect with her. I'm not going to be perfect with her. But at the end of the day, like, I can't just, every time I don't agree with how you're parenting, I don't get to just jump down your throat.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there are times where you'll, like, get really aggressive with her, and I just have to be like, I'm just going to walk away. And just, like, not, because I trust that, like, number one, you're doing the work too. You can see the way that, like, if you say something too hard to her and it hurts her feelings, like, you see that.
Yep.
I trust that you see that in her too. And so, like, it doesn't always need to be addressed. It doesn't always have to be. Like, you can trust each other, trust the other parent that they're going to do the work too, that they love their kid and that they're trying their best. Because every parent is literally just out here doing their best, and every kid is different, and every story is different. Every marriage is different. And so, like, also be freaking kind to people because they're out here doing their best. And be kind to your spouse, because just because you think you've got it all together, you don't, and they don't either. Always be a team. Like, that's one thing that's, like, helped us with parenting is, like, if Clark wants something and she goes to Wes and he says no, even if I think it was okay for her to have it, if she comes and asks me, the answer's no.
Yeah.
And I don't have to agree with Daddy, but at the end of the day, Daddy said no. And, like, I'm going to be on his team. And, like, we say that. We joke with her. We're like, I don't know why you asking me. We on the same team. Yeah. Like, that's huge. And, like, in the differences in parenting is, like, just because you both don't see eye to eye 100% on it, your kids don't always have to know that.
Correct. You can talk about it later.
Correct. Like, your kids can know that, like, well, mommy and daddy are on a team. And then when you go to your room at night, be like, why couldn't she have those? Like, there are times when, like, sometimes you're just tired at the end of your day, and, like, Clark will come ask you, like, can I do this? And you're like, no. And she's like, why? And you're like, because I said. And you're just, like, tired of it. And I'll kind of look at you and be like, why not? And you're like, I don't know. And I'm like, it's not a big deal. And you're like, I'm just saying no because I'm tired, and I'm just saying no. I don't even know what I'm saying no to. And I'm like in the corner of the room, like, yep. Hey, maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine. When you are parenting, you are two different people parenting a kid. Yep. Who belongs to both of you. So give each other grace. That's, like, a huge thing. Give each other grace. Give yourself grace. Love each other, be a team, and just do the best you can and try to get on the same page when you can about things. Because also you don't want to, like, confuse your kid, you know. Those are all the questions you guys asked. Those were, like, really good questions.
Boom.
They were awesome.
Boom.
Thank y'all so much for sending all the questions in. And actually, after we started recording, I saw some messages pop up. People were sending more questions. So we will add those in later. Maybe just, like, another episode, just, like, plug it in at the beginning. We could do, like, a really quick question thing. That was your what does Cole call them? Our pastor doesn't say, yeah. We don't do Q&As because maybe we don't have answers, but we have responses. So thanks for joining our Q&R. I don't know if it answered any of your questions, but we responded. I
answered Sarah's question.
You did. You are going to be the flower girl. Definitely, for sure. And you're wearing a tuxedo.
I'm not,
okay.
I'm not wearing a tuxedo.
Yes, you are.
I won't do it if I have to wear a tuxedo. If I have to wear a tuxedo, I will wear a t-shirt tuxedo.
Everyone send help because I cannot with this stubborn individual. Anyways, love you guys so much.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yep. We hope you guys liked this episode.
Yes.
We enjoyed doing it. It was really fun.
Let us know what you thought.
Yep. Love you guys so much.
Love
and
you
we'll
all.
talk to you soon. Bye.
Peace.